The morning brew that might guard your mind. A deep dive into coffee, tea, and brain health. Imagine starting your day with that familiar aroma rising from your mug. The steam curls up, and you take that first sip. For millions of us, this simple ritual is more than just a pick-me-up. It's a moment of quiet comfort in a busy world. But what if this daily habit was doing something far more profound? What if, cup by cup, over years and decades, it was quietly helping to protect the most complex and precious organ in your body, your brain? Recent groundbreaking research has turned a spotlight on this very idea. Scientists have uncovered compelling evidence that enjoying 2 to 3 cups of caffeinated coffee each day, or perhaps 1 to 2 cups of tea, may be linked to a meaningfully lower chance of developing dementia later in life. It's not a magic shield, and it's certainly not a guarantee. But the findings are intriguing enough to make us rethink that humble beverage we often take for granted. Today, in this narrated exploration, we're going to unpack this story in detail. We'll talk about what dementia really means for people and families, dive into the specifics of this major new study, explore why caffeine and other compounds in these drinks might support brain health, discuss the limitations of what we know so far, and share practical thoughts on how you might weave this into your own life. By the end, you'll have a richer understanding and perhaps a new appreciation for your next pour. Let's begin at the beginning. What exactly are we trying to protect ourselves from when we talk about dementia? Dementia isn't a single disease. It's an umbrella term for a group of symptoms that affect memory, thinking, behavior, and the ability to perform everyday tasks. The most common form is Alzheimer's disease, but there are others, including vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia, and frontotemporal dementia. What they share is a progressive decline in cognitive abilities that goes beyond the normal forgetfulness that comes with aging. Picture this. You've lived a full life, raised a family, built a career, traveled, laughed, loved. Then slowly names slip away. Familiar routes become confusing. Simple decisions feel overwhelming. For the person experiencing it, there's frustration, fear, and a profound sense of loss. For families and caregivers, it's emotionally and physically exhausting. The condition doesn't just steal memories. It reshapes relationships and futures. The numbers are sobering. Around the world, tens of millions of people are living with dementia today, and that figure is expected to rise dramatically as populations age. In many countries, it's one of the leading causes of disability among older adults. The economic burden runs into hundreds of billions of dollars annually, covering medical care, long-term support, and lost productivity. But the human cost, the quiet grief, the eroded independence, is immeasurable. For decades, scientists have searched for ways to prevent or delay its onset. There are no cures yet for most forms, and treatments mainly manage symptoms rather than stop the underlying damage. That's why prevention has become the holy grail. Researchers look at everything from genetics and head injuries to lifestyle factors like diet, exercise, sleep, social connections, and yes, what we drink. This is where our story gets hopeful. Because while we can't change our genes, many daily choices are within our control. And one of the most common, most pleasurable choices just might offer a small but meaningful layer of protection. Now let's turn to the research that has everyone talking. A team of investigators from leading institutions, including Harvard-affiliated groups and Mass General Brigham, conducted one of the largest and longest examinations of this question to date. They drew on data from 2 well-respected ongoing studies, the Nurses' Health Study and the Health Professionals' Follow-Up Study. Together, these cohorts included more than 131,000 participants, mostly health professionals, who were followed for up to 43 years, with a median follow-up of nearly 37 years. That length of time is crucial. Dementia doesn't appear overnight. The pathological processes, the buildup of proteins like amyloid and tau, the inflammation, the vascular damage, can begin quietly in midlife or even earlier. Short-term studies might miss the full picture. By tracking people from their 40s and 50s well into older age, the researchers could observe patterns that unfold over decades. Participants regularly reported their dietary habits through detailed, validated questionnaire. They answered questions about how many cups of coffee or tea they drank, whether it was caffeinated or decaf, and how their habits changed over time. The researchers carefully accounted for a wide range of other factors that could influence brain health, things like age, smoking status, physical activity, body weight, overall diet quality, education level, and even genetic predispositions where possible. During the follow-up period, more than 11,000 participants developed dementia. The team then compared outcomes across different levels of beverage consumption. They looked not only at diagnosed dementia but also at subtler signs, how people perceive their own memory and thinking abilities, and in one group, objective performance on cognitive tests administered over the phone. The results painted a consistent and encouraging picture for moderate drinkers of caffeinated beverages. People who consumed the highest amounts of caffeinated coffee showed about an 18% lower risk of developing dementia, compared to those who drank little or none. In concrete terms, the rate of new dementia cases was notably lower in the top consumers, roughly 141 cases per 100,000 person years versus 330 in the lowest group. They also reported less subjective cognitive decline. Only about 7.8% of the higher coffee drinkers described noticeable slips in their thinking and memory, compared to 9.5% of lighter or non-drinkers. In the group of female nurses who took detailed cognitive tests, those who drank more caffeinated coffee tended to score slightly better on measures of overall mental sharpness. T told a similar story. Higher intake was linked to comparable benefits. Importantly, the relationship wasn't linear, meaning more isn't necessarily better. The strongest associations appeared at moderate levels, around 2 to 3 cups of caffeinated coffee per day, or 1 to 2 cups of tea. Beyond that sweet spot, the additional protection seemed to level off. And here's a key detail that helps point toward the mechanism. Decaffeinated coffee did not show the same advantages. This suggests that caffeine itself is likely playing a starring role, though other natural compounds in these drinks probably contribute as well. The benefits held up even when the researchers looked at people with higher or lower genetic risk for dementia. In other words, the association didn't seem limited to those who were already genetically protected. Let's pause here and really absorb what this means. An 18% reduction in risk might not sound enormous at first. But when you apply it across entire populations, and when you consider that dementia risk rises sharply with age, even modest shifts can translate into thousands or millions of healthier years of life. It's the kind of difference that, combined with other healthy habits, could meaningfully change someone's trajectory. Of course, science is rarely simple, and we'll talk about the caveats soon. But first, let's explore why these everyday drinks might have such effects on the brain. Caffeine is the most obvious suspect. You probably know it as the world's most widely consumed psychoactive substance. It works primarily by blocking adenosine, a chemical that builds up during the day and makes you feel sleepy. By occupying adenosine receptors, caffeine keeps you more alert, improves attention, and can enhance certain aspects of memory and learning in the short term. But the long-term story is even more fascinating. Over years, regular moderate caffeine intake appears to influence brain chemistry in protective ways. It may help regulate neurotransmitters like dopamine and acetylcholine, which often decline with age and are heavily involved in memory and executive function. Some research suggests caffeine can reduce the buildup of harmful proteins associated with Alzheimer's and may support the brain's natural cleanup processes. Then there are the polyphenols, powerful plant compounds abundant in both coffee and tea. These act as antioxidants and anti-inflammatories. Chronic low-grade inflammation and oxidative stress are thought to play major roles in neurodegenerative diseases. By neutralizing free radicals and calming inflammatory pathways, polyphenols may help shield neurons from damage. In coffee, compounds like chlorogenic acids stand out. In tea, especially green tea, catechins such as EGCG have drawn attention for their potential to cross the blood-brain barrier and directly support brain cells. These substances may also improve blood flow to the brain, help regulate blood sugar, important because insulin resistance has been linked to cognitive decline, and even influence the gut microbiome in ways that send positive signals to the brain via the gut-brain axis. Animal studies and lab experiments have shown these compounds can reduce amyloid plaques, protect against toxic protein aggregates, promote the growth of new brain connections, and enhance the resilience of brain cells under stress. Human observational data, including this latest study, aligns with those findings, though we still need more randomized trials to confirm causality. It's worth noting that coffee and tea are complex mixtures. Roasting, brewing methods, and even the origin of the beans or leaves can influence the exact profile of beneficial compounds. But the overall message seems consistent, moderate. Regular consumption of these caffeinated plant-based beverages is associated with better brain aging in large groups of people. Now, let's be responsible and zoom out. This study, impressive as it is, has important limitations. It's observational, meaning it shows associations, not definitive cause and effect. People who drink moderate amounts of coffee or tea might also tend to have other healthy behaviors, better diets, more physical activity, stronger social networks, or higher education levels that contribute to brain health. The researchers did their best to adjust for many of these factors, but some residual confounding is always possible. The participants were mostly white health professionals in the United States, so the findings may not apply equally to all ethnic groups, socioeconomic backgrounds, or regions with very different diets and lifestyles. Self-reported dietary data, while collected repeatedly and validated, can still have inaccuracies. We also don't yet fully understand the optimal timing or patterns of consumption. Is it better to spread cups throughout the day? Does drinking coffee in midlife matter more than in later years? And what about interactions with medications or specific health conditions? For some people, caffeine isn't benign. It can worsen anxiety, disrupt sleep, raise blood pressure in sensitive individuals, or interact with certain conditions like acid reflux or arrhythmias. Pregnant people, those with insomnia, or individuals with particular genetic variations in caffeine metabolism may need to be more cautious. The study focused on moderate intake, and higher amounts didn't show extra benefits and could potentially bring downsides. So this isn't a blanket recommendation to start drinking coffee if you currently don't, or to increase your intake dramatically. It's an invitation to consider moderate consumption as one small, enjoyable piece in a much larger puzzle of brain-healthy living. What does that larger puzzle look like? Think of it as a multifaceted approach. Regular physical activity, especially aerobic exercise and strength training, has some of the strongest evidence for protecting cognition. A diet rich in colorful fruits, vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats, and lean proteins, think Mediterranean or Mind diet patterns, supports vascular health and reduces inflammation. Quality sleep, stress management through mindfulness or social connection, lifelong learning, and staying socially engaged all matter profoundly. In this context, your daily coffee or tea break can be a pleasurable ritual that fits naturally into a broader lifestyle. Perhaps you enjoy it mindfully, without added sugars or excessive cream that might offset the benefits. Maybe you pair it with a short walk or a conversation with a friend. For those who love decaf or prefer to limit caffeine, the picture is less clear from this particular study. Other research on decaf has been mixed, and some benefits may come from the polyphenols even without caffeine. But the latest data highlights caffeine's likely importance. Looking ahead, scientists are excited about the possibilities. Future studies might use wearable technology for more precise tracking of diet and activity, advanced brain imaging to observe changes in real time, or even randomized trials where participants are assigned specific beverage regimens over long periods. Genetic and microbiome analyses could help explain why some people benefit more than others. There's also growing interest in how these beverages interact with other neuroprotective foods, berries, nuts, dark chocolate, fatty fish. The synergy could be powerful. So, where does this leave us? With a sense of empowerment, I hope. While we wait for more definitive answers and better treatments, we already have tools at our disposal. Simple, accessible, often delightful tools. Your morning coffee or afternoon tea might be more than a habit. It could be a small daily act of self-care that, over a lifetime, contributes to sharper thinking and greater independence in your later years. Of course, listen to your body. Consult your doctor about what's right for you, especially if you have health concerns. But for many people, that moderate cup, savored slowly, perhaps shared with someone you love, represents one of life's small pleasures that also happens to support long-term wellness. As we wrap up, remember, brain health is a lifelong journey. It's built moment by moment, choice by choice. Whether you prefer a rich espresso, a smooth pour-over, a fragrant black tea, or a soothing green tea, let this research encourage you to enjoy it mindfully. Thank you for joining me on this exploration. If it sparked your curiosity or inspired a small change, that's wonderful. Stay curious, stay connected, and here's to many more clear-minded mornings ahead. Thanks for watching.